I thought Arkansas TV was on here, but because it said operator, so I let them in.
It's
Well, I
operator.
guess at some point they were out of the room, and then Arkansas TV said, "Oh, we're gonna come in," and I'm like, I thought they were in. I don't know. Maybe they lost connection.
Maybe we don't have to be on TV.
Donald, were you and I
Okay, Tom,
Yeah, yeah.
alright, we're a little early, but if you want, I think we've got everybody here.
I've heard my kids talk about it.
Is Earl not coming?
And watercolor,
Earl Black?
how
Oh.
great it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we
Well,
rented a
yeah, let's get
house,
some time.
went down there.
I'll check the parking lot, but just
And it looks like
let
all
Tom
we
know
do is,
we're streaming, but I'm gonna go check to see if Earl's here.
okay,
So FYI, we're not recording, but we're streaming.
but yeah, I wanna go to Montana next. Something like that, in the fall.
Go before the snow starts.
Yeah.
Okay, I have you here, but y'all can move around. You can also, Jared. Yeah.
Howdy. We're good.
How are you doing?
Are we ready to blast off?
Let me record.
Welcome. My name is Tom Scott. For all the new folks, this will be my first meeting as president, but I've got a couple of guys here who can keep me out of the ditches, maybe. So if you see me, my shin's been kicked on either side, it has been. But it may be appropriate, since we have 4 new members, to let's just take a second and go around the table and just who you are, where you're from, what you do, that sort of thing. My name's Tom Scott. I've been on the board, I think, since 2019. I'm a consumer. I had been on the real estate appraiser licensing board. Thought I had done my civic duty, but then I got to thinking about what am I gonna do in retirement to stay engaged. So the next day, I accepted. But I live here in Little Rock. I've got 2 sons in Northwest Arkansas and 5 grandkids. One of the sons is coming back to Little Rock here within a month or so. So we're excited about that. Murray?
Hello, I'm Murray Klein. Live in Springdale, Arkansas. I work in APAC Central. Second appointment on the board. Is that it?
I'm Kyle Salyer from Van Buren. This is my 3rd term on board, a dual registrant. Got 2 children, one in college at Fayetteville and one going into high school at Van Buren. Worked my professional career, recently retired in March, and working for myself now, and same busier than I ever did when I worked, wondering how in the world I did both things before, but enjoying it. And that's really about it.
I'm Josh Moore, Summers, Arkansas. I have 2 sons. One's in college and one graduated a year or so ago with a degree in aerospace and mechanical engineering from Oklahoma State. So, another engineering family. So,
I'm Matt Crafton, live in Rogers, grew up there, got a degree from the Air Force Academy in civil engineering. I was on active duty for 8 years and 14 in the reserves, and we moved back to Rogers 28 years ago, and I have 3 daughters who are out of college and a son that is in college and playing baseball in college, with Crafton Toll, and yeah, none of my kids wanted to be engineers. They saw me and said,
mine didn't want to be civil.
I'm Heather Richardson. I'm the director of the board. I've been in this position 12 years, I think. Before that, I was at the Arkansas Attorney General's office for 17 years. I was the chief investigator over public protection. And I'm the person you can call about anything. If you have any questions or anything, you just let me know and I'll make sure I get you an answer.
I'm Donald Perry, from Jonesboro. I'm a retired Army, did, almost 21 years in. I currently work as a JROTC instructor in, Marktree. This is my third appointment, on the board. Married, 3 girls, 1 boy, all out of high school, thank God, out of college. And I'm just happy to be here.
My name's Tim Tyler. I was actually, Mr. Klein was actually the director of the board when I got certified in 1993. So that's a pretty good while back. They were actually in a different building back then. And anyway, I live in Greenbrier, second generation surveyor, land surveyor. My dad was started out on the Titan II missile sites, and then he worked for Ken Shook and a few of them people, you can remember them, and worked on pipelines and worked on the lock and dam system for the river. And then he went off and went to Alaska and worked on the pipeline, and then come back, started our business in '68. So I guess pretty much grew up in it, and been here ever since. I got 3 kids, and this will be my first appointment. I've pretty much been knocking around this stuff all my life.
Earl Mott from Cabot, Arkansas. I've got a wife and 2 kids there. Both of them have grown. Both of them have finished their first round of college and are working on their second college. And neither one of them wanted to be engineers, so I don't know what's wrong with them either. I'm a second generation Garver guy. I am Garver's Director of Field Services and one of their senior vice presidents. My dad was party chief on the survey crew for about 35 years and started 2 or 3 years before I was born. So I've done nothing but engineering in Garver pretty much my entire life.
Jared Wiley, I live in Benton with my wife. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary last month. Like Donald, I have a boy and 3 girls.
Been in state government for about 5 years total. Been in state government for about 5 years total. Was in civil litigation before that. I'm just a fill-in. Y'all's normal attorney, Jessica Claus, was unable to be here today, so she asked me to fill in for y'all today. But I have covered this board before in the past, so I'm somewhat familiar with its how it works and some of the players involved. But happy to be here today with all y'all.
First day of school. I'm Grant Gregg. I'm the board chief investigator. Heather's been here 12. I've been here 11 years. I've been with the state for 27 years. So I handle all the complaints, and I'll have a little spiel when we get further down the agenda. So I live here at Little Rock. I'm not an engineer, and I have 4 kids. So.
You got the kids table, Grant.
I know. We used to have Roger on this.
Well, thank y'all, and welcome new board members. One thing I have learned since being on this board is that it's important work, despite what some people say or think, that at least to me, it's important work because the thought of engineering overwhelms me. It took me, I think by my 2nd meeting, that I knew that engineers were a lot brighter than real estate appraisers, and it was a bit intimidating. I was asked to be vice president, I think the 2nd or 3rd year I was on this, and I was adamant in my refusal. But it came around again, and that was the only thing I'd ever turned down like this in my life, and I felt kind of bad about it. But then Dr. Beasley approached me a year or 2 ago and said, it's time. And I think because I respected him so much, I couldn't say no. And, you know, I'll be 75 in October, and I'm not sure old guys ought to be doing important things, but I'm going to do my best. I've got an excellent VP right here. I got 2 former presidents right here, so I'll try my best not to embarrass the board, and I have told Heather. So we'll kick off our work here. Everybody's had time to look at the agenda and the information.
Well, let's do a roll call. Linda, can you do a roll call vote so that we know who all's here?
Yes. Okay. Tom Scott,
Here?
Murray Klein,
Here.
R. Matt Crofton.
Here.
Josh Moore,
Here.
William Earl Mott,
Here.
Donald Perry,
Here.
Kyle Sawyer,
Here.
Jared Wiley.
Here.
Okay, Heather Richardson,
Present?
Grant Craig.
Here.
I have Michael Lewis
Here.
and Tim Tyler.
Here.
And is there anyone I missed? Everyone is attend. Okay.
No one on Zoom, huh?
No one's on Zoom.
Just me.
Tim is going to be on the board, but he hasn't received the paperwork to be able to officially be on the board. So I've asked him to attend to kind of go through everything with everybody else that's new, and then he'll be able to participate and vote and make motions at the next board meeting.
All right, starting at, item 2, the consent agenda. I guess I should ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes of that night.
Because you have over 300 applications you look at one time. And so the applications that are conditionally approved, which the board gives me the authority to conditionally approve them, and then you ratify my decision at a later date, that is for PE Comedy, SI, and P and EI. So the PSs, they have to go to the board for full consideration, and the originals have to go to the board for decisions. But all the others can be conditionally approved. And so that is what that, and recommend deny. Those lists they meet the rules. There's no question about it. They meet the rules, and so that's why they're on the consent agenda. And if they don't meet the rules, there's a recommend deny, which I think this time you have one recommend deny on the list. Those you can pull if you want to discuss them. But they're all part of the consent agenda so that you can get to the actual applications that have issues and that need.
By voice vote, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, moving on.
So we'll move on to 3, which are the administrative items.
Okay.
First being the financial report.
Yes. And you're gonna notice on the financial report that you notice that's salaries, that's extra help.
Hey, gotta help. You see, we're trying to find it.
Oh, here. You want me to do it? Oh, you did it fine. Yeah. You've got salaries, extra help, matching, operations, travel, professional fees, all of that. It kind of shows you the different buckets of money that we have. Also on the revenue side, it kind of shows you what we bring in. And we are bringing in a lot more money. We consistently, ever since I've been here, we have consistently brought in more money. All of our money, we do have penalties, but our lion's share of our money is application fees, renewal fees. We are not general revenue. We get no general revenue funds. We get no federal funds, no grant money. All of this is money from your applicants and your licensees. if you look down, and if y'all have questions, please let me know. If you look down to the ADLL administrative costs per MOU, this agency, this board is part of the Arkansas. Did that change? Are you still seeing on Zoom, are you still seeing the agenda?
Yes, I see the agenda. I can see you scrolling. The one that's in the center, the one that's in the center is the consent agenda.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
in here, that something else popped up and I was like, what is that? So,
Now I see 3B.
here we go. Okay,
Here we go.
sorry. Okay. So on this copier, we would have to pay for additional staff members, additional salaries. But since we're here, we're able to do a lot of our stuff internally and they let us do that. So the only charges that we have are executive salaries of ADLL. The second one, the assets, it talks about cash and treasury. All of our money is in treasury. So that is our current balance that we have, and that if I have any questions, that's we're going to spend, and you can go back up to the top to the liabilities and see the allotment, and then you can see that's going to come out of that treasury. So we have a very healthy balance.
So the treasury is a state.
Treasurer, yes, it's not in banks, it's the state treasurer. All of our money is with state treasurer.
So your annual budget pulls from that.
Mhm.
Two more questions. What is matching?
Matching is retirement
Okay.
and stuff like that for the employees, and that's based on the salaries as well.
Okay. So that's benefits. And then, next question I got.
Patrick McGettrick, he was revoked. He is paying on his fine, okay? And so that's that one. Linda, did we receive another check from him since this was?
The last payment we've had from him was April the 28th.
Okay. So that's Patrick McGettrick. Robert America is an unlicensed individual that the board fined for doing engineering without a license. And he is not paying. So probably what we're gonna end up doing, I think next month, Grant and I talked about this, is send it to collections. We cannot absolve a debt for 10 years. So we have plenty of time to get this 20,000 from Robert America. Billy Lawrence, he was our last big fine, and he paid it. So he's current. He paid the $8,250. So those are the only ones on that receivable. Do you have questions?
No.
Heather McGettrick, did he have a stipulation in there as far as when he had to have that payment in?
Okay, he didn't. The board did not put that in the order. The problem that we have is you revoked him. So we don't have a carrot to say, you pay us or else we're gonna take away your license. So we're kind of in an interesting spot to collect. What he has said to us is that because his license was revoked, he doesn't have a way to make money, and so you're gonna get your money whenever I can give it to you.
So you're eventually probably gonna turn that one over to collections?
Yes, yes, we'll have to, yeah.
So he's retired, right?
Well, he is now. Y'all revoked his license.
So just curiosity from that perspective, since it's money that's owed to the state when you turn it over to collections? Is that independent collections, or does that go through some other legal process?
We're what they call a cash agency. We're not general revenue, so it stays here.
Okay.
But we do use programs within the state, and we could use a tax lien on McGetrick. But Robert America, we can't because he's not in Arkansas, and we only have authority to do that if it's in Arkansas. So he definitely would have to be turned over to collections, and we'll find an agency that'll do it, and we'll monitor it that way, because our collection efforts have fallen short.
Gotcha.
Grant, you didn't get the money?
I've tried. I've sent him letter after letter, but
Yeah,
nobody
every month
responded.
we send him an invoice, but, so.
Any more questions?
On the operating expenses, is
Sure.
that, you said, so we're becoming a separate entity, so that doesn't they include your utilities and everything here, all your expenses here in the office? I mean, this is just all lumped together, not a breakout of everything, so.
No, if you want a breakout, I have a breakout. When I had sent that to the board before, they said, we don't want that because it's everything. But if you want to see it,
Okay.
we do have it.
But that's for everything that's here, I mean, that's what, so you're here on the.
It's just here.
I
yeah.
just make sure I understood that.
Mm-hmm. It's just this agency.
And we own this property.
It's kind of interesting. The agency does own the property, not the state. So it is state property, but we don't get assistance from, maintenance and that sort of thing. We have our own that we have to hire to do that. Yeah. Okay, and I need a motion
All
to
right,
accept
any other
it.
questions or for discussion? We'll need a motion to approve the financial report.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Donald.
Who moved the motion?
Al,
Salary.
Thank you.
all those approve? Please say aye. Against? Okay. All right. We'll move to 3B, the Arkansas Waiver and Licensing Report, which Heather handles that as well, Morris.
Okay, on this one, new appointments. I have Matt Crafton. He expired June 30th, which we have Tim Tyler, who has been appointed to take his place, and Donald Perry, consumer member. He expired in June, end of June as well. So those appointments are still out there, but we are very excited for our new appointees and our new appointments. We've been waiting on them for a while, so that's good. Arkansas Forward. So this is my ADLL report. This is my department report. So Arkansas Forward is going to send it to you if you want it. The only things that are mentioned about us and the department is combination boards. They want to they're saying it would be more efficient to combine boards. What that means is we are already a combined board because we have engineers and surveyors, but the combinations would be they'd add geology, accountancy, and then you would have the same amount of board members. You would just have them represent different professions and occupations. So that was one of the things that was in Arkansas Forward, was recommending combination boards for efficiencies. The other thing that does is there's some boards, we're very healthy. We don't, as a matter of fact, they tell us we're too healthy. But there's some boards that aren't. And those boards are struggling. And so that was the other thing that was brought out in the report, that you can still keep those boards that are struggling, that are losing licenses, keep them afloat, because then it becomes one revenue stream.
That's how they're struggling. they're losing licenses? People are not.
Well, and a lot of boards, I mean, for y'all, it's kind of interesting because, right now we have over 17,000 active licenses. When I started, it was below 10,000. So that gives you an idea. So you're steadily increasing. All these others, electrician, they have tow truck drivers, fire suppression, geology, they have in the hundreds. So it is harder for them with their revenue stream, to pay the bills, to pay the MOU, So that's also in that Arkansas Forward report. The other thing that the Arkansas Forward report talked about is that it would be more efficient to sell the building and move into the Capitol Department of Labor and Licensing, which was the old Dillard's building, if y'all knew that. But we would all move into a cubicle situation. And they even recognize we own the building outright. And like real estate, they own their building, but they pay lease on the land to the state. We do not. We do not lease anything. So we have no lease payment, no payment, for the building at all. And so I question those efficiencies, because if we move over there, then our costs are going to go up considerably. But if we're also part of a bigger board, that is what's in the Arkansas Forward about this board. Okay.
Who commissioned that study?
The governor.
Who gets the value of the property should it be sold? The state?
We may find that out. I don't know. It's always been, Heather, that's you. Especially when we redid this building, the outside was in 17 and the inside was 18. We completely redid this building, renovated. And nobody helped me. It was all you and the board. That's who's doing it. So, and as I understand it, it was purchased by the board.
Yeah.
But I am hearing rumors that there's talk of because of Arkansas Forward, maybe moving everybody into their prospective department buildings to save money. And it's already happening. That's another thing. I mean, my son works for agriculture, and they're already moving lots of people into that main building. Department of Health, Department of Human Services, all those departments, they are selling they're not selling buildings necessarily, but they are not paying rent at other places and moving in. Again, ours is kind of different because we are centrally located and we don't really owe anything to anybody. So, and we have a healthy balance, so I always tease everybody that if a truck came through this building, we have plenty of money to repair the building and to rent space somewhere else. So we have a nice, healthy balance.
Who makes a decision to move us if they decide to move us?
Well, I can only speak to what I know has happened. And the other departments, it's been policy pretty much that happens. Because, I mean, it's not in your statute that you own this building. So pretty much it's been, policy or whatever for efficiency's sake. They've made these moves and they've sold these properties. And I mean, this has gone on a long time. To give you an example, the Department of Labor and Licensing was actually in a building at the end of Markham, and they, for efficiency's sake, they made all of those, which it was like electrical,
HVAC move. So that's been going on a long time. The difference is, what do they do with these boards? And right now, the department, real estate owns their own building, engineers and surveyors own their own building, contractors own their own building, and workers' comp, which is oddly enough part of labor and licensing too, but they own their own building as well. And so we're all watching to see what will happen. There are rumors that it's a legislative thing, that they're gonna try to do it with legislation. It's all forward.
Is that report final, Heather, or is it just?
Oh, yeah.
Comment, it's final, so it's done.
It's final, it's done. And we had a meeting with the governor like a few weeks ago where she went over the fact that she really wants to realize these efficiencies. And so I hadn't heard anything for a while, but yeah, she's back saying, you know, we need to make sure that these efficiencies happen. And
Would there be efficiencies for us since
well,
we have a balance? And
I'll let you, but there are properties that they pay rent. There are properties that they pay rent, and they probably pay exorbitant rent, and so for them to move into those other departments, it would make sense. So I'm not saying there wouldn't be efficiencies, I just don't see how the moves that are requested would be real efficient for us. But there definitely is room for efficiencies in state government, absolutely, yeah.
But not necessarily on our end. That's-
Heather, does this report support, I mean, does it have a conclusion about us?
Yeah, that's what I just told you.
Yeah.
Those two things were the highlights in that big, huge, thick report for our board.
Yeah, okay, so if the board disagrees their conclusion, did we either rebut that through legislation, or do
Well-
you get a letter someday that says you'll be moving down there by 90 days or something?
Well, I mean, your first stop, honestly, is gonna be the department head. Because it's all done according to the different departments. If the new board members, all of the agencies, boards and commissions were put underneath, there's 14 departments. And so your next step would be, if you don't agree with something, you would go to the Secretary of Arkansas Labor and Licensing. Now, if it's legislative changes, there's not a whole lot you can do. But if it's like a policy or something like that, then your next step as a board would be to go to is your statute. And so if the departments, so that, yeah, it's in your statute that that's your department. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing on here is the FY 2025 legislative audit. I really thought it was over. We get audited every year. And the audit is part of the department now, which kind of complicates it a little bit because I don't have that direct line with that auditor. But I thought it was over in May, but I got an email yesterday requesting our minutes, which I've already sent. So I thought that was interesting because I've already sent our minutes and our draft minutes, but I did it again. She said thank you. So maybe here soon it will be over, because yeah, it started January 8th. So I'm really ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
Well, and then the next one's gonna start relatively soon, so I'm like, come on. Our last legislative audit, we had no findings, which is good. The one before that, we had a legislative finding
that carry of the department to be able to pay that. So let me give you an example. So I'm gonna use Kyle. Kyle is on the complaint committee, so he's here early morning, 8:30, and then he's gonna be one of the last people to leave after the hearing. So since he lives up in Northwest Arkansas, I believe we could get the night before paid because it's a full day. But the problem we were having is we were just having board meetings and hearings, and so you weren't here all day. And so the auditors were saying, you have to be here all day to be able to get hotel expenses and meal expenses. The other thing that came up in that audit, which was a surprise, was board lunches. And it really came down to, there was a misunderstanding how to get those paid between the department and the auditors. But we have worked that out, and basically I ask for prior approval for your lunches, and it gets approved that way. But that was part of that audit. In the audit before, the only thing we had on that one was, we had 3 board members who didn't submit their SOFIs, their statement of financial interest, which y'all just entered, and you'll do that. They are also due in January, the end of January, so you'll have to redo it. So save your stuff and just copy it and paste it. But anyway, what happened was Murray, they misspelled Murray's name, so his was there, but they didn't see it. And then Donald was in between Senate confirmation and appointment, and then Ivan Hoffman, our PS board member, had passed away. So I kind of wish I had an in to talk to that auditor to say, you know, I have some reasons behind what you're seeing and what you're not seeing, but you don't get that opportunity anymore. But anyway, those are the kinds of findings that we have had. Before that, in my tenure, we never had any, and hopefully we won't have any. You can go to the Arkansas Legislative Audit website, and you can type in the name, and it'll pull up all of the statement or all of the results for the audits that this board has had. So you can actually go back and look and see, and it's historic, so you can see them all. Okay. So PELS is our current database, customized to this board and how this board approves things and how this board does business. So we currently have had a situation where DIS, which is Department of Information Systems, has maintained and developed our website. And I'm a Ford mechanic, that's what I was told. So we realized we have a really good database, it serves our needs, it's customized to our needs. Okay, so fast forward to Arkansas Ford. One of the things is that Arkansas Ford talked about subcontracting services. So we deal with DFNA, DIS is now OST, shared services. We deal with all of them on a daily basis, right? Well, something happened at DIS before it became OST, where a lot of we used to have 12 people that could work if I gave them permission on our PELS database, okay? We have 1 today, 1. Because all of them left to go to bigger departments or retired or whatever for efficiencies. Well, we're really stuck because we have 1 person that develops and maintains. So the department they love Tyler Tech. And Tyler Tech has an off-the-shelf product, and it's called RLP. The secretary calls it ELP, and they really want us to go to this new database. So Linda Stone, the assistant director, and I have gone to several meetings they call discovery meetings, and it's got some different bells not do that. And I'm struggling a little bit to see how y'all are gonna be able to see the applicants and the applications. So that's all yet to be determined. But that is where we are in that process, is it's just kind of on hold right now. We still don't have a cost. I know it's like $10,000 a year for maintenance, I think. But the actual cost of the if any of you have priced databases, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I don't know what this cost is, but we are doing Linda and I, our due diligence and looking at it. We do currently have a problem with Tyler Tech. So Tyler Tech bought INA, so gov.pay. Many of you may realize or know that. When they take care of the payment systems for most all state agencies, okay, and departments. They take care of that. When you go to DFNA, it's arkansas.gov or GovPay. So it's the same company, right? It's not the state of Arkansas, it's INA, and now it's Tyler Tech. Well, we currently have an issue in which we have the one developer, right? One developer, and he is working with Tyler Tech on what's called a CCP migration, which they've been working on this for 2 years. So my frustration level is high. They have moved the applications to the new process, the new Tyler Tech server, the new everything, which is what they have to do. That's the bulk of the money that we get, our renewals. So the Tyler Tech servers away from the Arkansas state servers. Now, you're like, that sounds backwards. Well, it kind of is. So in 2025, there was a legislation there where all of the subcontractors have to get off of the state's servers. So if you're a subcontractor, you can't be on the state servers. So we're kind of caught up in that a little bit because, and as I understand it, we're not in compliance with the act because that should have happened. But because we have one OST developer and he's got other databases that he maintains and develops, and then we have Tyler Tech who's supposed to be coordinating so that we can move this, those things have not moved. So I'm not a happy camper. That's the best way to put it. If they're trying to prove to us that they're all that in a bag of chips, they're falling short. I do realize that it's dependent on this one person to do it, and that's asking a lot of the one person, but that's all we got. So this situation, I'm sure there's going to be developments in the near future so that no, Tyler has developed software, and it's called RLP system or ELP system, and it's an off-the-shelf product. And they tell you it's customizable, but it's customizable to a certain degree, if that makes sense. I mean, they're going to change the name from appraisers to engineers, but but it's not really customizable like what we have. And there is a product they sell that is customizable, but apparently we can't have that. We've got to have what all the other boards and commissions at ADLL, the secretary really likes this product and is really pushing this product. And so majority of the boards over at ADLL, Department of Labor and Licensing, have this product. But now keep in mind, and I'm going to say this, a lot of the people didn't have a database that was working, or they had a database that was broken, or they had a database that didn't satisfy the auditors. We've had this whole time, we've never been written up on our database. Now, we were prior to getting the database in 2010, but we haven't had issues. But now there are some that have really benefited from RLP and ELP. But I don't know what the benefits are at this point for us to go to that stuff. Yeah. I know. There's a lot of
those, if
unknowns.
it's not broke, why fix it?
Well, and we do have a problem in that our only developer and our only maintenance person, we have one, and he manages real estate, he manages ours, he manages tobacco. There's some, now, what did happen was at the health department, he was managing, whether that happened, but,
I assume we're paying for both right now until this gets fully implemented.
no, okay, so, we've always used them for the payment portal, because everybody's used them for the payment portal, so that's that, so that we pay for. But as far as the development of the website, we haven't seen a prototype. We've just had meetings where we're discussing, Linda and I are discussing what we have and what we want. And what I'm discovering is basically it's built a different way. It's not built for board member approvals.
Okay. So that's my question. There is a refresher for me and for our new board members, some information. Is it a foregone conclusion we're making this switch?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I mean, I am getting a lot of pressure from the secretary, but they haven't produced a product. So we're still in talks about what they can do, and now they're good talks. I mean, they're trying to problem solve and come up with better ways to do things and task lists, and some of the stuff, I'm gonna tell you, it sounds great, but at the end of the day, I'm very concerned about access. I'm very concerned about the portal, like how am I going to create these agendas for you to approve these applications? I have some questions, and I have voiced that to Tyler Tech, and they're like, we'll get back to you because maybe there's a task or something we can do that's going to satisfy that. But that's the only thing, that's the holdout right now for me, is that there's no way to do that. There's no mechanism within ELP, RLP to do that right now.
Let's say you decide you want to make that switch. Does that come to the board for approval? Is it a decision you make? Or do we potentially get told by labor and licensing we're going there?
So, I believe, according to the statute, it is your decision. It is still your decision. It would be heavily weighted by the department. But I will be coming, to the board and explaining everything. I mean, it would definitely be a decision that I need a board approval on before. I'm not gonna sign a contract.
Kyle's question was, the Tyler Technology, $10,000 a year fee. What are we paying Pels now? Are we paying anything for that, or is it?
I'll have to look, nothing, I mean,
Minimal.
we get, right, cause all of our costs are in one bill from OST. So like our internet, our phones, everything is in one bill. including the maintenance and development. We haven't had a development charge and I don't know when, because he's only been working on this maintenance issue to be able to move it. But
So there's not a,
Heather?
yeah. I think what he's asking though is it equal to the 10,000 that we would
right.
have to pay?
So we're looking at an additional $10,000 a year cost is what we're looking at. That's what.
Yes. Yeah, because the state manages it and does it, and we do pay them every month for their hourly work, but I don't know that it would be the 10,000.
Okay.
It may be around there if we have a lot of issues and problems, but if not, no.
Okay.
Well, this is definitely gonna be exciting. I mean, from one software that you're happy with and it's functioning properly to something you don't know about, it's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Scary
It's a little scary.
and everything else, so,
But I will be bringing more information, I'm pretty certain, to y'all, and, about it.
Okay. All right, so any other discussion on any of the administrative?
For those that are new,
Mhm.
there's something we need to do to access that.
I'm gonna ask you to stay in education and exams and stuff in it. So, we really need everybody to access it. So, that will happen. Thank you for that question.
I do feel guilty getting mine in paper. FedEx comes and drops this huge,
Half a
It's pretty
tree.
big.
and I feel bad.
All right.
Yeah, I get over it pretty quickly. I do prefer, I like turning pages. All right, so then we'll move on to, the update on
Billy Lawrence.
Lawrence versus Board. Michael is gonna help us with that.
So we have one update today, and it's Lawrence versus the board. For all board members that are new, Lawrence versus the board is a disciplinary hearing that was heard by this board. The board issued a reprimand and a number of sanctions. The surveyor, I believe it was a surveyor, correct?
Yes.
The surveyor then appealed that to the Circuit Court of Pulaski County, where it's currently at right now. The case has been briefed and it is waiting for a decision from the judge. So that could take a month, that could take 2 years. But there has been no stay put in place regarding the sanctions. So as I think was mentioned earlier, he is currently has paid off his fines and has, I think, served his complete suspension.
Right. So, yeah, because I told the complaint committee about it. So, where we are on him is, he gets his license today. I gotta do that before I leave, write him the letter, letting him know that his suspension is over. He has been suspended this whole time, so, but that will end today.
And for the new board members, moving forward, basically all updates that are given by either myself or Jesse, who is your sitting attorney, they're going to be either disciplinary matters or licensing issues that are heard before this board. So you will be pretty familiar with them when we come give updates on them.
But appeals are not normal business. They don't usually, only if the person files an appeal.
So he appealed it. 6 months has bypassed since then. The court still haven't made a decision on the appeal, but he gets the license back today, so it really doesn't matter what the court say. Okay, I'm just wasting court's time and money, attorneys.
Well, in his own,
Hypothetically, he could say, "Okay, I was right." If it came up down the road at another licensing board.
That's the only thing.
But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're just waiting, I think it's Sean Johnson, isn't it? Johnson's decision on that one. And like you said, yeah, I don't know when we're gonna get the final decision on that. But,
And there's a chance he'd have.
Would be for him to have to go to the claims commission because I don't believe y'all can just cut a check to him.
Okay.
all right, and then Michael, I don't know if Jess told you.
She did. I'm gonna do just a brief update on the Freedom of Information Act, because I know we have a number of new board members. Jessica will be doing a full presentation at the next month with a PowerPoint going through all the highs and lows, and it'll be 30 minutes to an hour of riveting law, but it is all applicable to y'all. And I want to go over a couple high points. As board members, and keep that in mind when you are talking, interacting, because everything you are doing is being watched. The other important thing to remember is board members, all board business must be conducted at an open meeting. And so what that means is y'all should never communicate with each other about board business unless it is at this open meeting. Do not text about board business between each other. Do not email with each other. All communication should be here so that the general public is aware of what is transpiring at this board and has an understanding of what's going into this board. So the big thing to remember, don't communicate with each other about board business. That would be a violation of the freedom of information of your person. Again, Jessica is going to go into the highs and lows and give a very detailed PowerPoint to go into more detail about open meetings, executive sessions. But I did want to just touch on those high points for the new board members so they can have that in mind at their first meeting.
Can you give them a brief board hearing ethics, because they do have a hearing this afternoon about recusal or any of that?
Yeah, so recusal is kind of up to y'all. If you believe you have a conflict and you want to recuse, you can just simply make a motion, say I'd like to recuse, and then you don't participate. The other avenue to get a recusal is an affidavit can be filed by a litigant and say, I would like so-and-so to recuse because I think that they are conflicted on this matter and I don't want them entertaining or making decisions on this. At that point, it will be a judgment call for the individual who's been asked to recuse. Again, these are going to come down to your own personal judgment, whether you think you need to recuse. I like to tell people, let's err on the side of caution. Let's avoid issues that could potentially come up at the circuit court. So if you think there could be an issue, my advice is to play it safe. Most of y'all work in the industry that y'all are regulating, so it does happen. But just be mindful of it, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to Heather directly, or you can reach out to your attorney directly to get advice on that.
We did have, I'm gonna tell everybody, we did have a situation where a board member was asking questions of a witness, and the respondent's counsel believed that how the person was asking the questions, they had already made up their mind about the hearing and asked that person to recuse. So can you help them with that's what I
And she did recuse. Be mindful that the people who come here, they are looking for, they deserve a fair shake. Don't prejudge it at the front end. And I know you're saying that may be a little bit more difficult than normal, but don't prejudge it. You need to base your decision strictly on the information that's being provided to you at the hearing. You should never consider any information outside of what is being provided to you. So for example, we're having a hearing, you hear someone's name and you say, didn't they do such and such back in the day? And you look it up on your phone. You should not be interacting on your phone during a meeting. You should only be listening to what's going on and taking the information that is presented. That is what is called the record. The record is what the decision is based off of, not information that's outside the record. So if you're looking at something on your phone, that's not technically in the record. That's not information that's been put in through testimony or via an exhibit. So avoid kind of taking off information from your phone, getting on your phone during these hearings. And when you're asking questions, be mindful of the way your questions come off. Again, that's kind of like a recusal. Use your best judgment. That's not to say you can't ask hard questions. You can't ask difficult questions. At the end of the day, we're dealing with a very important topic, and sometimes there are very important questions that need to be asked, and sometimes those questions need to be pointed. But be mindful of the questions that you're asking. Anything else, Heather?
But we're focusing on the findings of fact.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I know where you're going with this.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I think I've talked to some of you, and I gave you an example of the last licensure hearing that we had. So it's similar to that.
You will get your hearing packet, and in the hearing packet, you'll have your notice of hearing, and then behind that, you're gonna have all of your exhibits, okay? This happens all the time. Chris Madison is gonna be your hearing officer today, and Chris is gonna say, all right, I'm gonna give the board some time to look over the notice of hearing and the packet. I have board members, y'all are engineers. You are very black and white, and you will go through that packet. Don't do that. I would say, read the notice of hearing, understand what the findings of fact and conclusions of law, what they're going to be when you go to make a decision. You need to be very familiar. That's the state saying, this is our case, okay? You need to be familiar with that. The evidence will come.
Yeah,
That's gonna be the attorney's job.
Ultimately, as after you've reviewed the notice, has Michael or the other attorney established these facts that are listed here, and do those facts constitute this violation? That's what you're looking for. And the hearing officer is gonna act like a referee, and they're gonna walk you through this. And at the end of that, you will, through a motion, do a findings and facts of conclusions of law. That will be largely based off your hearing notice. We try to draft it in such a way that we're not gonna make y'all try to reinvent the wheel with the motion you need to create. So you can utilize the hearing notice that's already been provided. And did we find this fact one substantiated, or did we not? And you kind of just go through them, and the hearing officer will help y'all with that. So you'll kind of have, I call it the roadmap to your case, the hearing notice, whether the state has met their burden in proving that hearing notice.
And I gave the example to some of you, and I have in the past, that we had a situation at a hearing where the hearing was that the individual violated the board order. He could not perform a certain engineering. He couldn't do structural engineering, and he did. So that is what the notice of hearing and all the evidence and everything was about, was the fact that he violated the board's order. Well, some of the board members were concerned about his engineering. They were like, this engineering, why didn't you bring this up? Why couldn't we do something, to sanction him about his engineering? It's not in the notice of hearing. And those board members came up to me later and said, we don't understand why that wasn't brought out. And I explained to him, it's a bigger burden of proof. In this particular case, this was a slam dunk because he definitely violated the order. So we're not really looking at.
You're only judging based off the hearing notice.
Okay? It's hard.
Yeah, we'll have one today, and we'll get through it.
We will. Everything will be fine. Do y'all have any other questions?
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, sir.
Another good
Oh,
job.
and I wanted to say this. So for those of you that are gonna be at the NCES annual meeting, just going back to the public meetings, open meetings, we noticed that. We put the notice on the state calendar that board members are going and board business may be discussed, and that's how we do that. So yes, if you're going somewhere and you're discussing board anything, even at an NCS meeting, it needs to be noticed as a public meeting, okay?
Okay. We will move to agenda item 3E. Dr. Beasley and Brian Moore, former members, requested the board designate them NCEES emeritus members status. And Heather, would you explain what that?
Okay, so at NCES, you really can only be involved if you are a board member, okay? But they have committees and chairs and that sort of thing, exam writing for emeritus members. If Key Sykes, but that's what it does. Now, they are not on the board. When we go to the council meeting with thousands of people, it feels like, they don't have a vote. They don't even, it's not required to even sit with the board.
So, I mean, Dave may sit with New Mexico, I don't know. But they don't have a vote when we do the council, the board meetings. All it does is preserve a spot for them to serve on committees within NCEES. But the board has to agree that they're emeritus members. It gives them no rights to any of this information, board information, anything. It's just so they can serve on committees and be of service to NCEES. And to give you some, I'll give you some food for thought here. So a lot of these boards have terms that are 2 years or 4 years, and they don't have to wait. You know, the governor appoints them every 2 years, 4 years. Well, new members will learn. NCES is a very a well-oiled machine. It's an organization. It's huge. And so if you wanted to get involved in that organization, you might not be able to because your term is so short, right?
Motion?
I need a motion to approve Dave Beasley, Brian Moore, and Keith Sykes, all
Make a
three.
motion, we approve all three.
Second.
All those in favor? Against? All right, thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
All right, item 3F is, the board has 2 members appointed to the complaint committee. And,
President did it.
it's done. And, I recommended Kyle and Donald. They both graciously accepted. So we're still running smooth on that end. And thank you guys very much. No arm twisting involved.
And that's not a board decision, that's a president decision. He makes the decision for any committees or subcommittees.
All right. 3G. This will be another Heather explanation on the PLSS questions for the state-specific surveying exam.
Okay, so the board met in the previous meeting and discussed the fact that instead of, because what NCS is going to do is they're going to have a module exam. So a separate exam. People will still have to take the principles and practice, which is what's in your statute and in your rule. But then you can allow them to take a separate module of the PLSS module. Well, what the board found in the previous meeting, similar to that of Arkansas, in the Arkansas State Specific Exam, okay? So, today, what I need is the board to tell Dick Elgin where they want those PLSS questions. I'm going to give you a little background. I have talked to Keith. I've talked to Dick Elgin. I've talked to other states and what they're doing. Believe it or not, there are some states that are actually going to go to the legislature and ask for this module. I would not recommend that at this time. I wouldn't. But there's some doing that. The others, like us, like Missouri and Kansas, they are adding it to their state-specific exam, like the board said that we're going to do. This is where I think we should add it, and talk to Dick Elgin, and I talked to Keith, and we're all in agreement. Okay, the PLSS question, similar to that of Arkansas, I'm saying it like that because it actually is going to benefit us, because it's not general questions, it's questions specific to us. So it's actually kind of a good thing. I think we need to add it to part 1, and this is why. You have 2 parts. You have part 1 and part 2. Part 2 is calculations. Part 2, it's about 138 points possible. About 60 of those points are they're messing up, and it's the calculations. I mean, we get some that are 0 out of 60 points. They just don't get how to calculate lost corners and etc. So part 2, the board has set a limit on the questions, and the board has added an additional half hour so that it can be completed in time, because that was our biggest complaint, was that they couldn't complete it in the right amount of time. You limited the questions and the points, and then you added 30 minutes, so it's an hour and a half. Part 1 is multiple choice, and it's on. Very rarely do I ever have somebody not finish it. It's set at 100 points possible. It's an hour, and the pass rate is 80%. So that's why I think that it should be in part 1. And so when I talked to Dick, I don't think he realized Dick Elgin is our exam professional that the board hires and the department hires to write the exams. Now, let me get into that though. He actually doesn't write, he writes the exams, but the board exam questions are figured out every 5 years. We have. So when I talked to Dick about it, he said, I didn't realize that the pass rate was so low on part 2. And I said, historically, it's low. That is the exam they all have trouble with. So I don't really want to add anything additional to that exam. I want to keep it 138 points, 140 points or less, and I want to keep it around 60 points for calculations, and it's an hour and a half. So what you could do is you could add these PLSS questions to part 1, extend it half an hour, and then we could add some questions in there. I think Dick he's like, no, I didn't realize that. That's a good idea. And Keith and I had talked about it a lot. So he also said, you know, just in case you wanted a former board's opinion on that. Board member. But that is what we're here today. It's not to write the questions. It's not to figure out the point structure. It's just to say we want Arkansas PLSS to be on part 1 of the Arkansas State Specific Exam. Okay. Once the workshop takes place in late September, I'm going to bring you a report from Dick about the bank, but it's going to also include these new questions and point structure. So you're going to be able to see it again before these questions are even asked.
Are you getting a motion?
So, before we do that, I'm just curious because in some of the documents that Dick provided, it talks about 32% of part 2 is already USPLSS as it applies to Arkansas. So just shut up.
No!
Okay.
No! You brought up, when I originally talked to him, he was like, let's just add it to part 2. And I was like, we can keep the questions that you typically ask that have calculation in part 2, but if you're asking multiple choice questions similar to standards of practice, I don't want to put those in part 2. I want to put those in part 1 because you can actually extend. He's still going to keep the ones that he already has. So, Earl, that's great. He's still going to keep those, but it's the extension problems and questions. Yes.
I'm good.
Yes.
I'm good.
Is what he wants to extend part 1 for.
So these additional questions will be developed by this committee workshop, work group?
Right, so what he does, okay, so every 5 years, we have a workshop and stakeholders show up and the board invites them. And it's a whole day of fun with your calculator. And, but he will bring those questions to the workshop and ask the stakeholders what they think. You know, what do they think is important to ask, what they don't, you know. He's gonna do that rundown. And so that will take place, and then it'll be part of his report after the workshop to the board.
So, Keith is on a member of the stakeholder group.
He
Do
was
we-
because he was a board member, but
Yeah.
if you want him to be a member, I'm sure he's worked very hard at this. If you really want him to be a stakeholder, because he was a previous board member, I'll need a motion, but I think he would accept that. And then Tim will be on it because he is the current board member, and Kyle is on it because he's a PS and he is a current board member.
So we've had basically 3 board members.
6. So they're pulling this out. Are they shortening the time period on that test? It's
No,
gonna be 6.
No.
So I was curious, with engineering, I think it's 8 hours total, right? I think we should consider keeping these tests about the same length relatively, at least it's kind of reasonable in my mind. Are people finishing part 1 early? Do they have more time? Can we do it without
Yeah,
adding time?
part
to
one-
Part 1, everybody's staring at me when they're done
Yeah.
because we don't let them leave until the test is over.
I mean,
and we have like, I can't tell you how many times it's 100% pass.
so
They don't have to come back and take part 1. That's the easy lift.
I'm looking to the surveyors in the room and the staff guidance on, do we have to add time to part 1 to include this material?
Well, I'm thinking, wait on that, because according to the report, you may decide you don't need more time. You may decide you need more time because of the amount of questions. I think when he gives you the report after the stakeholder meeting, that will be more clear how you need to extend part 1.
So we can propose to include that in part 1 today and then work that time out later.
So, Murray, you made a motion.
I maybe get up to that if you needed
Well,
one.
you
We'll make a
you
motion.
made half a motion. Yeah.
Which one do you need first, Keith?
It doesn't matter.
I make a motion, we include this in part 1 that you described.
PLSS.
I'm not going through the 30
Okay.
minutes of what you just said.
PLSS questions will be included in part 1 of the Arkansas State specific exam.
And not to adopt the NCWS USPLSS module.
Kyle second.
I'd probably add that in there too.
You can, I think that y'all did that last meeting, but you can
Okay.
go ahead. You can add that, Earl.
Never
That's,
mind, if it's been done, don't worry about it.
okay. So Klein.
Second, Salyer.
Who made the motion? Who made the motion?
Klein and Sawyer.
That was
And
to
this
add
is-
the
This is PLSS to be added to part 1. Okay.
Any more discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we'll consider a motion to, add Keith Sites, to the workshop or the stakeholder group. Is there a motion to that effect?
He was already on there, so he's gonna remain, even though he's not.
You guys know who's on that group, can we talk about that briefly, Heather? Where?
You're gonna require me to remember stuff, Jared.
Sorry, put you on the spot there.
Oh, I'll.
I have the list.
I thought it was in on the trip. Can you read that? So,
No.
Dr. Richard Elgin, he's gonna conduct a workshop for us. Daniel Phillips, PS, is the state land surveyor for Arkansas. Key Sites, Kyle Sawyer, James.
So, yeah. They're all really good. They did the last one in 21. We had a good group in 21. So, I anticipate a good group this time.
So we approve.
You did that last, yes,
Keith.
you just did that,
Okay,
yes.
so we're, need a vote on that. All right, all those in favor of Keith, continuing to serve on the stakeholder committee, before we consider, Heather's recommend
This is
discussion?
discussion, yeah.
Yeah.
These are items that the board has to make the decision.
Starting with, Brady Bibb There's 8 of these, I believe. And then the one denied.
I'll make a motion to approve on bid.
Question, you wanna kinda go over some lines?
Yeah, I think he satisfies the bachelor's degree plus 30.
To approve.
Wiley second.
Yeah, Wiley seconded.
Oh, Wiley?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Wiley seconded.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of raised bid?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Second is Gavin Briggs.
I move we approve him.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Hold on. That was, Linda, that was Wiley and Mott.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Briggs, opposed?
And I'm just gonna mention, this comes up a lot. In your rules, you have the ability to do this. So you're gonna see this a lot. The key here is that they can substitute graduate degrees up to 2 for years of experience. The kicker is 4 years has to lapse since earning the bachelor's degree. And the reason why the board made this decision a long time ago is because there are some programs that actually issue the bachelor's and the master's together. And so the board put that in there, that you have to have the 4 years has to lapse. So the board may.
Okay.
The board may, that's why it's here.
In the rules, okay.
Okay, Randall James Coleman.
Do we have any precedent on something like this before? I'm my short time on the board.
I'll make a motion to approve first, we can do it under discussion.
Second, Klein.
Sawyer and Klein. Okay, reports 33 years of experience, post bachelor's degree, post engineering courses from Arizona. Applicant has been continuously licensed in Pennsylvania since. Due to applicant taking 3 engineering courses necessary to prove education equivalency. Oh, okay, all right. So you're gonna see this. So this guy, as you can see, he's been doing engineering a long time, and he's also licensed in other states. But his education wasn't deemed equivalent until technically 8/2024, because he took the courses required at that time to make up. So the board has a history of sometimes letting that, we had 2 educators, and they would explain the credentials evaluation and the courses that they took and how they feel about that, and we don't have that, and I'm sorry. But in this case, that would have come in handy, because NCES credentials evaluations are very picky, and they're gonna tell you, you have to take certain courses, even though they might have, according to Dr. Beasley or Dr. Rod, they did take them. So according to your rules, for it to be equivalent for engineers, they have to make up any, like you have to make up these deficiencies. Historically, the board has approved an applicant like this, because obviously he's been doing engineering, he's licensed in other states for what, 33 years.
I think he's only been licensed since 04. He has 33
Right, he has
years.
33 years, yeah, of experience post bachelor's degree. Oh, wait a minute. No, this is a comedy, okay. I'm sorry. And this is the other thing.
if it was 2001, you would have to approve him on the previous law and rule, which would, you can do it by education or experience only.
Is it the 8
He
years?
just missed it. Yeah, he just missed it. Yeah, so that's why he's in the discuss, is because he only has, I mean, he meets the education, but then you have to look at the experience. And the experience is, he has 33 years post-bachelor's degree in 93. However, he only has 1.75 years of experience post the courses he took to make up for the education equivalency. But again, I mean, typically, y'all pass that. Yeah.
So I believe we have a motion. and
To
a second.
approve.
Yeah, to approve, Mr. Coleman. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, next is Dylan Heskett.
Okay. That's a PS. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve allowing him to take the state-specific exam.
Mott, second.
Get complicated, but there is a pathway that is a bachelor's degree in anything plus 30 hours of survey-related courses, as long as they have a PLSS course and they have a legal principles course, okay? Those type applications, you're gonna start seeing a form that I send them, because instead of me trying to guess what coursework they want to count, I want them to tell y'all what coursework they want to count. And he did that. He basically said, these are the courses that I want you to count to meet education equivalency. And it looks like he has the 3.08 years of experience post meeting the education equivalency when he was done with his coursework. So, I just wanted to bring that up. Because the board, they do have to make the decision on the coursework, that particular pathway, yes.
All those in favor of the motion to approve? Any against?
Okay.
Ready? Moving on to Calvin Hu.
I move we approve him.
Second, Klein.
Linda, that's approval by Wiley and seconded by Klein.
Okay. Move to Mr. RJ Lopez.
Make a motion to approve Salyer.
Second, Mott.
Approved Sawyer, seconded by Mott.
Any discussion? All those that approve Mr. Lopez?
Aye.
Those against? Approved. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Panettiere.
I'll make the motion so we can discuss it.
Okay.
Wiley.
I'll second Salyer.
Approval, Wiley, seconded by Sawyer.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Well, at the time they were originally licensed, not the current rule. If they can meet the current rule, we gotta take that for comedy, but we also look back to see, and in this case, he can apply with 8 years of engineering experience, which he definitely has, 32 years of engineering experience. But he has this Alabama board issued consent order in 2009. It has been satisfied, it's over. But what it was regarding is he did not comply with the continuing education in the audit, and y'all are gonna learn, new people, about that. We audit licensees, as you may know, you might have been audited. But you have to provide proof of your continuing education. Apparently this gentleman didn't, and so that's what the board order is regarding. It is my understanding though that it has been, he's complied, he's licensed, everything's fine. And Grant can kind of speak to that. We see this a lot. We also see it where, not in this case, but we see it where other boards will pile on and say that because he got disciplined in Alabama, we're gonna discipline him too. So watch that. I mean, that's not really fair. And we do not do that. We do not pile on. But in this particular case, that is what that consent order, the consent order between him.
Vote on Mr. Panettiere. All those in favor? Opposed? So bad. Okay, the final person is Howard Perko.
This one's interesting too.
I move we approve, Wiley.
Second, Mott.
Approval, Wiley, seconded by Mott.
Thank you.
This is a good one too. So this gentleman got pulled into a disciplinary action because of someone else in his firm. And that happens where, you know, somebody that's maybe under you does something wrong. They could even do an audit, continuing education thing, and you still are gonna be considered the responsible person and you're still gonna be pulled in. So, that's what happened with this person. Again, there's nothing pending. He's in good standing. He's licensed in other states. And so that's what you got.
Any more discussion? All those in favor of approving Mr. Perko, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Clear our
And that has been asked of me before by other board members. Why do we see those? You see those because they're disciplinary actions on their record. And as you know, a disciplinary action on your record stays forever. So you're gonna see some from other states, especially comedy, that are, you know, really old.
And I'll add, Louisiana is pretty bad about filing on. Just, I feel like you can't cross the street in Louisiana without getting a consent order, so, typically we'll see a lot of disciplinary action from Louisiana, so. I don't know where to stand anymore.
I know, y'all stand up there.
I stand up there, then I watched the video from last time, and it was not good, so.
Well, and another
It's about Jared. He
point I
does
wanna
good.
make quick, and you'll agree with me. It's hard to have disciplinary action or hearings against a firm.
Yes,
You're always gonna have a licensed individual or an owner of the firm or something, okay? So very rarely are you ever gonna see just the company, because you really can't hold a hearing with the company. You have to have a hearing with the individuals that either own or the responsible engineers. So just a little tidbit, okay.
so, this is my section, 5. So this is the first report, 5A, for all the new folks. These are all the active complaints we have right now. Basically, it shows when the complaint came in, when the answer came in, we have by the rules are we have to basically dispose of the complaint within 12 months. So it kind of can show you on the timeline of what we got going on. So like, look, 2026-5, the last one is a out-of-state engineer, and he hasn't replied to us. So I'll get on it and start sending him photos done. And it breaks down to engineer and surveyor cases and unlicensed cases. So right now we have 10 active cases. Which is, kind of par for the course there. You can see it. Previous years it was slower or more. Like one year we had, in 2023 we had 20, we had like 37 at one point. I blame COVID on that one. But, so, typically, I would say on average, probably get a complaint he met before this meeting.
Where is it?
It's in there. It's
Under
in the folder.
the folder, okay. Under the folder, okay.
So the way it works with the complaint committee is they will review the cases and they will make a recommendation. So I will give you guys the consent agenda for the complaint committee. And the cases, I can tell you about the cases after you accept the consent agenda. I know it sounds weird, but in case somebody wants to go to hearing or something like that.
Okay, so where is it? Because oh, I didn't go down in that. I'm sorry.
So at this point, we would need a motion and a vote to accept the consent agenda.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Move to accept the consent agenda. Second.
I need to know, who was that?
Wiley.
Crafton.
Thank you.
Y'all were there.
So we have a motion and a second
To accept it.
to accept the complaint committee consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Okay, so the complaint committee members, which is Donald and Kyle, they recused from this vote. And if you have any hearings related to this decision, they will recuse because they got all the information and made the recommendation to the board. Okay?
They reviewed the case file and saw things that may be presented at a hearing at a later date. So
Later.
in order to not preserve everybody's impartiality, they recused from the hearing. So we had the 4 cases, 3 were dismissed. We've got 1 that's recommended to be scheduled for hearing. So here we go.
September.
So it will be in September, and we will we'll kind of do it'll be a little more than what we're going to do this afternoon because it is a disciplinary hearing. It's a little confusing. Yep, all right.
Let's see.
And the next order of business is audits. So has anybody been audited here ever? Raise your hands. There we go. Good job.
Some more than one.
Yeah, sometimes. So, yeah, Kyle got audited while he was sitting on the board.
Right after I got on the board.
So the way it works is if you get audited, you provide at the time of renewal, you put in how many hours you put in, you get an audit letter, then I verify that those hours are equal to the required amount. It's very rare that I don't accept hours. I always say that there's one guy that put in the Nick Saban football coaching clinic for hours and I had to kick those back. We had one guy bring in like a water sprinkler system class he went to. It's
It had nothing to do with engineering.
very rare. Pretty much anything, if you go to a lunch and learn, if you go to, any kind of conference, all that stuff is acceptable. Like I said, it's very rare that I kick anything out. So at the end of this month, I'm gonna get with Chris, because I need to carve out some time to get all the PE audits, and that's gonna be about 165 licensees. So it takes me some time. So I'll send all those licensees out a letter. They'll have to reply with their hours. And, you know, sometimes they need extra time, sometimes they can't find it. I had one last year where the guy got divorced and his wife took his file that had all his hours in it. She took everything, including his hours, so.
She's sharp.
I know. So typically, this audit will last till the end of the year. It's just the way it is to try to get everybody to reply and send in their stuff, so. If we have anything that doesn't jive, or somebody says, I don't have hours, or I didn't get any hours, we'll send them to the complaint committee and they'll get maybe a hearing or a consent order or something like that, so.
And for reference, when you said Chris, he's gonna have to get, Chris Beck is our developer at OST.
Yeah, I can't make he gives me a spreadsheet with all the licenses, with all the hours that they've reported, so I don't have to do it by hand. All right, any questions for me on the complaint disciplinary stuff? All right, thank y'all very much.
Thanks, Grant. Good job. We need to step back one, I think. We've had a recommend deny.
No, that's part of the consent. That's part of the consent.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It was just straggling in my deal.
Oh, yeah, it was part of the consent.
Okay. We're now on number 6, report on the NCEES 2026 annual meeting, Henderson, Nevada.
Right, so, there's been some changes to that. Keith Sykes is no longer able to go because he's not a board member. What he was a delegate. We get 3 board member delegates to the meetings, especially, well, the annual meeting, and we also get them to the zone meetings. But Keith, since he's not a board member and won't be a board member in August, we had to cancel that, and the deadline was the 30th, and so we can't replace that. So the members that are going are Kyle and Tom, and then Grant goes, he's a delegate, and I go, because I'm a delegate. When I say that, NCES pays for everything, not the board. What else was I gonna say about that? There's 2 meetings with NCES. I know I got a request from somebody about when these upcoming meetings are, so I'll send that out to all of you, then, so you can kind of pencil them in your calendars to see if you wanna go. I think I will have the ability to have 4 new members attend, which would be in addition to a lot. They're very helpful, and so I try to fill all the delegate positions to get my money back at the end of the year, just because it's something I do. The board has plenty of money to fund. We do have to ask the secretary for permission, and even for delegates, even for those that are, because you're going to do board member duties and talk board business and vote for the board, so it has to be approved by the secretary. So I try to get those approvals in. The board delegates, it was Dave Beasley and Kyle. Who was the other one? And Kyle. Who was the other one?
I had to cancel.
Yeah.
Murray had to cancel. Yeah, that was sad. It was Murray. And then I'm a delegate for that meeting because all directors are delegates. And then Brian Moore and Grant, he's a delegate for the annual. To get the governor's approval because it's considered international. They only accepted the delegates. So I feel pretty confident if you're a delegate, an NCES delegate, you're gonna get approved. But if you're not,
You gotta stay home.
I don't know. But, and we had a great time.
Okay.
Sorry, we had a great time.
but we'll kind of talk about that. I think I included it. I know I did. Yeah. These are wonderful meetings. I cannot tell you how much y'all need to go. Y'all need to go because it's all the states and the territories. I think there's like 67, I think, total.
72.
Thanks, Linda. And you go and you're gonna vote as per a council. And there's all kinds of issues like PLSS exam not being offered anymore. There's all kinds of things that you're gonna vote on, including you're gonna vote on delegations and you're gonna vote on who's representing you in the different zones. We're part of the Southern Zone. But it's great to network with other people and find out what they're doing, if they're doing anything different, what's working. You also get to find out about legislative efforts in other states, you know, because a lot of times if it's happening, usually if it's happening in a southern state, it's probably going to come here too. The sausage made, yeah. Okay, so that's the trip. Y'all can look through it. They have a board that serves the council, and you're a member of the council because you're a board member. But that's all part of your agenda, so y'all can look at all that fun stuff. And that's really it, unless anybody has any questions. And I will send that out. Jared, Christy asked me to send that out. That's a good idea. I'll send it out.
Appreciate it.
We'll be talking, usually I have to ask for delegates before the board votes on the delegates who they're gonna send. But I don't think it's first time, but maybe it is. I haven't had a first time in a long time. But I know I'll have, for the annual meeting, I'll have 4 positions for first time, and then in addition to the 3 board members.
But in that zone, because Jared's never been,
Yeah.
he'll be a first timer.
Yeah, I think the zone may be different.
You know where the national meeting is next year, 27th?
I want to say it's New York.
It is New York.
Yeah, Kyle asked me about it. It's usually someplace really hot.
It's close to Niagara Falls. That's all I remember. New York. And then the southern zone is Omaha. And that is weird because you're like, that's not the South. But Omaha, they have every 3 years or 4 years, they'll have a joint zone meeting. The southern zone people, you will learn, hate it because we get to go to some fun places. But they hate when they do that. But it is Omaha, Nebraska.
I think
in
it's
April.
everybody.
Yeah, in April this time.
But in year before last, it was here.
Yes, and that's how we have this banner, Little Rock Welcome. We did have them in April of 25. We hadn't had them in 20 years plus. I think we had a good time. It was very stressful for me, but I can check that off my bucket list. I never have to do that again. So
That gets us through all but one of our topics, which is the remainder being the hearing after lunch, unless anyone has anything else to talk about.
I do have one more thing. Okay, so the state cannot purchase plaques. I know Jared's going, what? But we can't. We cannot purchase plaques. And historically, what we've done for the board members that have been replaced or fallen off or retired, we give them a nice plaque with their information and how many years they've served and all of that. So what we do is we have what we call the flower fund. The flower fund is for plaques like this. It's for if anyone passes away, charge of the flower fund. And so there's $54. We haven't really had to use it in a while.
Since 23.
Yeah. But I mean, to give you an idea, this is what the plaque would look like. This is Rod's, Dr. Rod, but it's nice. It has the years of service. And we got a quote. So for 4 plaques, including Keith, it would be, with tax, $521.40, and that's an estimate from Reynolds Rubber Stamp. We can get other quotes if you want us to, because this is not state money, this is your money going into the flower fund to be able to pay it. But that is what we're asking, is for donations for the flower fund. So if you feel so moved, please get with Linda or I think Grant has offered his Cash App.
Got Cash App, Venmo, I've got all the
Yeah,
electronic
so
ones.
if you wanna send money that
can
way,
send
he'll
that way.
cash it out and give it to Linda for the flower fund to pay for these. So that's my spiel on that. I will give you an update at the next meeting, and that's all I have.
Okay, let's see, we have lunch here today, right? Is that right?
Yes,
It is here.
yeah.
So for the
So-
new guys, lunch is
Mhm.
in the hallway?